really recall what we said, but he pulls out his arm. Look, he pulls out his face. I remember he had this like really like clown looking face. I just remember that specifically. And he had this little revolver. It was maybe about like this big. It was a small gun, but it
Yeah.
was a 22. And so he shot at the windshield and a couple times. And I think if he would have shot one more time, if in that same area, it would have went through the window. Puppies, ask me how easy it is to boycott Call of Duty.
How easy is it?
It's very damn easy because I don't play that game to begin with.
Me either, man. Me either.
I really don't.
I haven't. I think I played it one time 10 years ago.
It's been about 10 years for me too. I remember I did download Warzone maybe a few years back, but couldn't play it at all. Like I left it on, so like the screen played it more than I did. I didn't even play it. Like I downloaded it, walked away, and then like never played it. So I told you a little bit about that boycott that is kind of happening. I don't really think it's gonna work. I don't think people are going to be able to boycott something like that. And I think the people who do play aren't going to go with it anyway. It's not that type of crowd. But you know you don't know who Nick Merckx is, do you?
No, I do not.
Yeah. I thought maybe you would because you watch anime. I
Yeah.
just kind of assume people who watch anime would know people like this.
No, I know like Ninja, things like that because they're more.
Yeah, I
like,
forgot about that guy, Ninja.
yeah, like because he was really big, but it wasn't for that. It was for Fortnite, man. I mean, I've heard a lot more of the Fortnite guys because they play it a lot more on like Facebook videos, stuff like that, and when YouTubers getting really really big, all the other YouTubers like to charm in about the other people. So it's one of those things I hear word from word more likely about YouTubers and stuff like that and streamers.
I know who Nick Merckx is because during the pandemic, I remember catching him a couple times and watching him, and actually I liked it. I thought his stream was really cool. Like he did a good job, and then Doctor Disrespect, and I think those were the only two that I was like, oh, I can watch these guys for a little bit because it was actually generally pretty cool. But they he said something and they took down his bundle. It's really cancel culture, and then fighting it with cancel culture. Because actually, when I put in social media, I'm like, hey, we got to boycott this. People are like, we're so sick of cancel culture, and I kind of disagree. But at the same time, if you don't fight fire with fire, sometimes it isn't going to work. I don't think this is really going to work. Me personally, I didn't really play it before. I probably would never play it again. But the company in general, Activision Blizzard, if there's something else that comes along, years from now, unless they make this right, my kids or something like that, they want to like, no, we're not getting that, son. We're not getting that. It's Activision Blizzard, even if this is like 10 years from now down the line, I'm still not going to go back to them. Still not. But social media can be pretty crazy. I'm on all the time, and I love Twitter. I've told you about how I feel about social media. You're on Facebook.
Yeah, that's about what all I use is Facebook, just so I can post pictures of my son.
I can't really stand Facebook.
Yeah.
I can't really. Well, Facebook to me is just kind of like family and friends.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, I don't really like. I'd rather call one of my family or friends and talk to them over Facebook.
Yeah. No, I mean that's exactly the same way. I rather do that. I just use it so that if they want to see a picture of me and my son, and honestly, in the long run, I use it as like a storage.
Yeah, it's like a
for
diary.
photos.
It's like a
Yeah.
diary
So
kinda.
like when, I have a son, he's 11, almost 12. When he's 20 or 30, I can be like, yeah, I did this with you on this date. And I'll have pictures and, tagged of where we were. So it's one of those things when, my son ever dare says, you never did nothing for me. Let's look.
That's really the only thing I would use it for. And, going forward, I mean, really, I've only used actually when I look back at some of the stuff that I used to post, like when Facebook first started, like I don't think anybody knew what it was there for, and I used to I used to post some dumb stuff.
Yeah, me too,
just
man.
like I'm like, why would I even say that? Just kind of stupid.
Is it because you were just, getting used to Facebook, or was it just because you were young and dumb?
I think it was both.
Oh.
I think it was like young and dumb, and then at the same time, like I didn't think anybody really knew how to. There was a few people and they made it, they did a very good job, but for the most part, I don't think anybody really knew how to use Facebook. And it's like transformed. I mean, it became this like, MySpace
Base.
rip
Oh,
off, and then it was like a Farmville game, and then now where it's just kind of like somewhere where I store my friends and families in a digital form, where like if I needed to get a hold of them, or like you said, post some pictures just so people know how you're doing. But other than that, I can't really mess with it, man.
yeah. I mean, when I was younger, I did do the same thing, but I thought of more of it as like it was a man. What was that play? The one you said earlier, the
MySpace.
MySpace. I
Yeah.
thought it was gonna come and go. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, I don't even remember my login for my MySpace. It was just something like, oh, this is cool, blah blah blah. But it was like a fad. I thought it was really just gonna be a fad. But I mean, we're going on what 15, 20 years of Facebook, and
Yeah.
it's kind of something like I said. Now I use it. I don't even use it all day, any day. I use it probably like every 3 or 4 months. I post some, pictures from Halloween or something like that. But it's just something like I said. I use it as an archive of, I did this and this with my son. I've done this and this. I remember this trip. So I don't have 5,000 photos categorized. I'm like, dude, I can just go to my Facebook, and if I want to look at old photos, I can.
Yeah, I really like Twitter now. Yeah, I opened the Twitter account when it first started, and so I have a pretty old account, but I never really used it. And I would say in the past like couple years, I've really started getting more in Twitter. I know you're not on Twitter at all,
No.
right? Yeah, I honestly, to be quiet, I find it kind of funny that I don't know any. Honestly, I really don't know anybody in my real life that has a Twitter.
Yeah.
I I asked Vinny to make a Twitter, and he made a Twitter just so that like, hey, why don't you make it, like, check it out, and he doesn't, like, he's like a Facebook guy, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, it's kind of weird to me because I'm more of a Twitter guy. I just don't see the value in Facebook at all.
And I kind of always, and don't quote me on this, but I always looked at Twitter as something more of a gathering of social.
Yeah, well, it's
And
people you don't know.
yeah, it's people you don't know. And it's like, I don't want to talk to people I don't know.
See, I'm the opposite. I'd rather talk to people I don't know
Yeah.
versus people that I
Well,
do know, because the people that I do know, I'm not going to talk to them over social media. I talk to them in real life. I pick up a phone and call them.
yeah,
So I think that's where people kind of come from, where like you're either on one side of the spectrum where,
exactly.
yeah,
Because I rather have my friends and families and know, my opinions. I verbally, I don't, I guess, put it on social media because it's just something that I'm not used to. It's just something that's never really like, oh, I need to post this, click in my head. Like, this is something, like you're saying, the boycott,
mhm.
that was, you heard that. You're like, this is not right. This is
Yeah.
wrong. You got to boycott it. You got to get that message out to people so people understand of what's going on. And to me, I don't think like that. I'm like, man, I'm never going to do this again.
Hmm.
Like, I'm not going to buy this game. I'm not going to deal with it. My son's not going to deal with it. But I don't think about voicing that to other people to inform them.
Yeah. Well, it's really a good place to gather information, and then, distribute that information through your own filter. And that's what I kind of do. And, recently I just did that. This is a gambling channel, so we have to add some gambling to it. And crypto's been in a really bad state in the last week or so. Right before SEC came out, which I'll explain to you a little bit, the SEC came out and they just basically said a whole bunch of coins were securities, which is not good. And they really need to clarify what they're doing. They're not clarifying what they're doing. They're just winging it. And it turns out that the guy who's in charge of the SEC, Gary Gensler, he was actually trying to be a part of certain companies, and then they wouldn't let him. So now he's come back with revenge. So it's really a corrupt kind of issue. But so I had some ADA, which is Cardano, that I just recently bought. I bought like 3,500 bucks worth, which was like, at the time I bought it at 35 cents. So it was like 10,000 Cardano or whatever. And it was down from 38 cents. So I said, oh, let me buy a little bit of the dip. And, it was really a bad, I FOMO'd in a little bit. And I really don't ever really do that. But I kind of just wanted to throw I wanted to have some fun with kind of a larger cap coin. And yeah, it turned out to be I lost on it. It went from 38. I bought it at 35. And then yeah, I ended up right after it happened. It kind of dipped a little bit, and I sold it at 32. So it wasn't like a real big loss. It was just like a $300 loss, which is still a loss to me. Like I still take that personal. You gotta respect your money before anything, especially in this type of environment. And so I wasn't really happy with it. If we had the show a little bit more, I would have said, hey, yeah, I bought this at 35 cents. And on this show, I would have said, yeah, I lost. Well, I'm telling you, I'm updating you. And just today, I found out that, it dipped all the way to 25 cents. So, like, it made me feel really happy that I actually sold out of it. Sometimes you got to take the L to get the W.
Exactly.
And I'm being called a paper hands on social media, and the reality is that paper hands never win, and neither do diamond hands. Diamond hands, if you want to hold it to the bottom, go ahead, be my guest. But the fact of the matter is that right now I can get exactly what I had for 2,600 that I had for 3,200. So that's a $600 kind of savings if you want to take it, and even buy more if I wanted to. So actually, sometimes you got to take the L in the short term, and then afterwards you get you see that there was a bigger L, and then you just feel better. So hey, we can't win them all, and I'm really happy that I sold. It was really tough just to kind of take that kind of loss, but you got to do what you got to do, and today, I'm really happy that I did it. So um, it it's something that I'm really happy that I did, but in reality, I'm always just going to be positive, because there's going to be things in our life that are going to transform us to be that type of person. I'm the type of person where on Mondays, people are like dreading it. They're like, oh my God, it's a Monday. I'm like, yeah, it's the start of something great, because you got the whole week ahead of you. And I think there's not a lot of people that have that. Now, one of the reasons why I'm like that, and you can contest to this, which is why I'm glad you're here. Do you remember the day that we were almost killed in the alley, or at least I was almost killed in the alley in Chicago?
Oh yeah, we were in the back of at your house, and Vinny was there, and we were in the car, and all we hear is pop pop. And
Well,
I'll let you explain the story a little bit better.
So the story is like this, just because just for full context. So you were already in Texas. You had came home to visit us.
Yeah.
And we went out to the bar the night before. So we went out to the bar. You were there, and so there was people. You had came back in town, so there was kind of a gathering. We all had fun, and we went home that night. And me and you were drunk. You had your car at the bar. I had my car at the bar, and Vinny drove us to my mom's house at the time, and we slept. And then the next morning we woke up. It was pretty early. I think it was like maybe 8 o'clock in the morning, and we needed to go pick up the cars because we left them at the bar because we were kind of being responsible. Hey, we're drunk. We're not going to drive home.
Yeah.
And so Vinny comes, picks us up. I believe it was a Lincoln that he had, or I believe it was a Lincoln. And so he picks us up in the alley in Chicago. You have all these type of alleys. And so just for context, this is like on the west side, fringe northwest side, right on the border there. And so Vinny comes, picks us up in the alley. We get in, and I realize, so Vinny, first off, Vinny backs out the alley. And, my mom's house is like 3 houses off the corner. So we actually pull out onto one of the side streets. And I tell him, I'm like, hey, Vinny, I forgot my keys. And I look to my right, and I see this van like just barreling down on us, coming from, like they're going to T-bone us, but they weren't close enough yet. Didn't think anything of it. So we pull back into the alley, and sure enough, this van kind of follows us in there. It was a white cargo van, kind of beat up. And this car boxes us in. Now, I remember at the time, like, I knew what was happening. Like, we were boxed in. Words were kind of exchanged because they were kind of looking at us a little funny. I was in the passenger seat. Vinny was in the driver's seat. You were behind Vinny in the back seat behind the driver's seat. And so the way they had pulled up on us was on the passenger side of the car. So it was actually me that was kind of, we were both kind of just staring each other down or whatever, saying, I don't really recall what we said, but he pulls out his arm, he pulls out his face. I remember he had this like really like clown looking face. I just remember that specifically. And he had this little revolver. It was maybe about like this big. It was a small gun, but it
Yeah.
was a 22. And so he shot at the windshield and a couple times. And I think if he would have shot one more time, if in that same area, it would have went through the window. I know some 22s can go through windows, some 22s can't. And luckily, man, this 22 did not go through the window. And it was like right at me. It was like right here, you know?
Yeah.
And as soon as they popped a couple times, they took off. And we were just kind of stunned. We stood there for like a brief second. And Vinny started chasing them, you know? And in my mind, I was like, yeah, we got to chase them. I'm like, wait. We don't have any guns. What are we doing? We're chasing the people with guns. We got to get out of here, man. And so I told them to stop. We drove all the way down to the end of the alley. They were just hightailing it out of there. Remember, this is an alley, so it's just kind of like real tight, narrow places. So you can go fast, but you can't go too fast. And so I had to remember telling them like, "Hey, man, you got to stop. We don't got any guns. Like, I don't know what you think we're doing, but this ain't it." And so we were kind of in shock, and I can't specifically recall what happened to you. I think you just went inside and just kind of hung out. And I tell you, not getting shot at was the biggest part of the day to me. It was, I didn't want to do this. I remember Vinny did because they shot up his windshield, so he was kind of upset. And we didn't know who this guy was. So he went down to the police station. And I had to go there with him just because I don't know.
You're being a friend.
I was being a friend. Like at the time, I was like, dude, we don't go to the police station. This
Yeah.
isn't what we do, but we did. And I'll be honest, I remember specifically they were treating us like the criminals. We told them what happened, and they were just kind of like, who are you affiliated with? And what kind of gun did you have? And what were you doing? And we're just like, yo, man, we were in the alley. And we just we told them the whole story. We had just pulled in. We were going to go pick up the cars, and they were really treating us like criminals. And then they ran my record. They're like, yeah, they were probably trying to shoot him and whatever. And it's like, but it doesn't matter. You just kind of felt like like a fish in a bowl with a shark. And it didn't matter, what had happened to us. They didn't really care. And to kind of use, look at us as we were the we were the antagonizers, or we were part of something that we weren't. It was kind of really disheartening. I remember, from that, it wasn't really from that day forward, but I just knew that, the cops weren't, in Chicago, at least the cops just weren't on your side, and just seemed like we were bothering them. We're like, hey man, some guy just almost killed us, or killed me at minimum. And they're just kind of like, yeah, but what did you do? I don't know what to tell you, bud. Well, I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just here because he wants to report it. I'm just telling you the truth. And, really from that day forth, really, I'm not going to go say that day forth, but like, there's been a multitude of instances that I've had in my life where I just use positivity as something that I know is good. Because there's a lot of times that maybe you can't be here for something. We could have died several times. I've been through a lot of hells in my life, and I'm very blessed. So I feel real positive, and I try to be as positive on social media, on Twitter. And like I said, one of my biggest saying is the whole Monday saying, but the other one is Wednesday. When someone complains about a Wednesday, oh, it's a Wednesday, a couple days till Friday. I'm like, yeah, we win Wednesday. And I don't just say I win Wednesday or you win Wednesday. I say we win Wednesday, because it's very difficult for some people to get through the week if they've never experienced a life or death situation, or just a situation where it's just been like traumatizing to a standpoint where like, you're like, hey man, I've been through worse. This is a good damn day. And I love it. I just love being positive. I know some people hate it. When I sold that, people were calling me paper hands, and it's like, yeah, that's cool, man. Do you know the whole point of trading is to make money. And when you don't lose money, it's almost as good as making money, So you got to stay real positive. And, it was just a scary scene. And it's something that we don't even talk about. It's kind of just went away, right? It's just kind of like, oh, we almost, we got point blank. This was point blank, by the way, point blank shot at. It's kind of like, oh, yeah, just happy that the bullet didn't go through the windshield. You know what? We're on to another day.
Yep.
And we'll be back, man. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. And let's win.
Let's win.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.